Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Happy Thursday, and we have a good one here for you. Only because it's a special request of a lot of folks that have all of a sudden flooded my emails with the topic on the 1980s US coins. More specifically, people are wondering 1982 and 1983 dated coins, probably safe from the Lincoln pennies because those are still relatively available in the highest possible grades. But I wanted to talk about this subject because it is coming off the stove really hot. And I think the one thing that I have talked about in the past was my desire to pull away some of these 1983 Washington quarters. And then what I would do is I would assemble full Philadelphia rolls and then sell those for about double face. Plus a few other videos that I have talked about in the past where, a certain coin had sold for many thousands of dollars, and just overall the toughness of this particular date certainly warrants a conversation, and I wanted to bring it up to you. So a few things we're going to take care of today. We're going to look at some of the, actually, just about all the denominations. Again, we're not going to focus on the Lincoln cent, because that is an entirely different conversation right there because of the availability. But the value in those particular coins revolve around the double dies that exist, the transitional that's so hot right now. Finding, one in a bronze alloy is especially tough and worth many thousands of dollars. But we're going to look at the Jefferson, Roosevelt, Washington quarter, and half dollar. And we're going to just kind of, play it off as far as why are these tough to find in mid-state condition, period. Not only in pocket change, but just in general. And you'll find by the end of this broadcast that you're going to be well versed on the coins of 1983. And there is one huge contributing factor that is playing a pretty significant role in the actual overall market of this particular date that you're going to find interesting, and we'll bring that up later on in the in this screencast. But let's go ahead and dive right in. It's kind of hard to just kind of pick and choose where we want to start. So let's do a little bit of research on actual coins, okay? And I find that going on to PCGS's website is certainly the best tool, okay? If not for the pricing, for the actual information. Now, we're going to start out with a coin that I highly regard as one of the most kind of difficult coins to find anything above extremely fine. Go coin roll hunt Washington quarters. First of all, not many people do, because the prospect of finding silver in these is getting quite a bit tougher because of the diluted nature of the state quarter program and the America the Beautiful program. It's become increasingly difficult to be able to come away with a pre-1965 90% quarter. Okay, but that's the main motivation for a lot of folks that search the Washington quarter denomination. However, okay, not many people do this. Okay, I'm probably the exception. There's probably a few other folks out there that do the same thing. But I love to coin roll hunt Washington quarters. Okay, not for the silver. Okay, in part due to some of the varieties that can be discovered, in the 60s, the 65 double die, the 1970D, 76D double die. Those are a couple marquee coins that I'll look for. They're extremely tough to find. But being able to identify some tougher dates, okay, is just as important, if not even more important. The 1983 fits the bill and is on the top of my list of coins that undoubtedly, in any condition, I will pull out of the rolls and I will save them. I'll accumulate full rolls of them, and then I'll sell them on the secondary market, usually for about double face value. At the end of the day, it's not a lot of money, but it's a really interesting statistic nonetheless, because these coins sell for about double face value, which it's kind of tough. You find where you're like, oh, this coin is worth 50 cents. It really is. Selling them by the roll is the best way to go, because people do hoard these. All right. And that's why there is some sort of smaller market for full rolls of 1983 coins. Now, we have to differentiate both the Philadelphia and the Denver minted coin. Okay, the Philadelphia coin by far and away is the much more difficult coin to find in general, okay, compared to the Denver mint mark. Okay, as we can see here, the mintage is not small at all. The mint did produce 673 million copies of the 1983 P Washington quarter. All right, so what's the problem? Well, a lot of these were sent out into circulation. Very few of them were ever saved. Okay, think about the 1980s for a second. A lot of folks spent money. Okay, they spent cash. There wasn't anything kind of noteworthy or newsworthy in the coin news area of the 1980s. A lot of people bought proof sets, okay, and mint sets, and people were getting tired of those too. Okay, it really hit its stride and its peak during the 70s, but during the 80s, people were beginning to grow tired of the proof sets and all that stuff. So nobody really cared about the coins that came into circulation, whether it's the penny, nickel, dime, quarter, half dollar. Actually, half dollars were beginning to slow down in circulation during that point as well. But we are going to take a look at that. But 673 million pieces, you know, by any stretch of the imagination, is a huge number. Okay, so why are these selling for double face? Well, I'm going to get to that here in a second. So let's talk about condition. All right, so here's kind of a rolling census data report that PCGS spits out that I wanted to share with you. Mid-State 67 is the top grade. Okay, however, there are other coins with grades 67 plus, 68. So the 1983 date in general, it's just a lot tougher to find. And what I can say is the mint did a really bad job on the dies on these things, which is why if you were to find, let's say, 10 mint state examples of a 1983 P, about 50% of them will have very, very, very dull luster. Okay, and that's kind of been like one of the things that have plagued this particular date, which makes it quite a bit more rare to find in grades above mid-state 66. So as we could see, let's use mid-state 67, for example, as kind of like the benchmark on what we can see value-wise on high-graded coins. So they have a price guide value of $750. There are only 20 pieces graded at this level. All right, and then we look down here to a couple of the more recent sales. This one here at Heritage Auctions, February 2018. That example was a steal at $552 because look at the other two examples that sold during that time that were graded in PCGS plastic. Okay, so we have this other Heritage one that sold 2 years ago for almost $2,600. And then we have another example here that was sold on Great Collections in 2013 for $2,500. And then you also have some NGC graded coins in there as well, all three through Heritage. There is 20 graded, but there's only been a handful of reported sales that are only a mere fraction of the total population of this coin. So with that being said, what's going to happen if the first Mid-State 67 Plus makes it out into the market? How much can we expect for a coin like that? Okay, are we talking a 5-figure coin at this point? Are we talking about a coin that possibly, because one did sell for $552 in 67 just last year, are we talking a 67 Plus being a $2,500 to $3,000 coin? Because we've seen this market adjustment. I think there are a lot of people that have certainly fulfilled their registry with this particular date in a 67. Now, here's the other X factor. You have all these people with the Mid-State 67s in their registries. Will they pay nearly double or triple for that first ever Mid-State 67 Plus? Okay, think about it. It's all speculative. It hasn't happened yet, but it's kind of cool to kind of figure out, exactly where that coin lies or where it would finish up at if it was in an actual auction setting. So nonetheless, it's an extremely valuable coin. in higher grades, all right, in a nutshell. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Denver minted coin, all right, which it appears that the higher grade examples sell for more money based off of the PCGS price guide value. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and slide all the way to the max here. And it looks like Mid-State 67 is indeed the top pop grade for this date. Of course, they have a price guide value of only $1,450. Okay, but look, go ahead and take a gander at the actual sales. They don't even come near this. Okay, which also kind of points to something that has plagued price guides in general, is that they're not up to date. Okay, this one more than likely should be at $500 rather than $1,450. Again, there hasn't been a 67 plus that has made it out into the marketplace, but nonetheless, this is a coin that is pretty valuable, not as valuable as the Philadelphia coin, of course. And this one also, even though it's a Denver, still hasn't had the best of quality. Usually Denver coins, we associate that particular mint's coinage to be of a higher quality. They've taken care of their dies a little bit better. But as you can see, I mean, the coin looks nice. The question at the end of the day is, are you all in at paying $1,000, $2,000 for a mid-80s coin? It's not for everyone. It's certainly not for me, but I wanted to talk about it. The mintage is on par with the 83P. Okay, 617 million copies were produced during that time. So it's not like there was any shortage. It's kind of crazy that, it's mind-blowing to think that there is this many, yet the coins in circulated condition, right out of pocket change, command double face, even the 83Ds. It's pretty nuts. So what I also wanted to do is take a look at the Jefferson nickel, because that one is also a tough one for a lot of the same reasoning as the 1983s were, just in poor condition as far as the dies. They didn't do a very good job creating and making these dies, but let's go ahead and look at the full steps nickels. Okay, as you can see at Mid-State 66, there was no 67, which is kind of interesting. $850. The 83D, look at this. In Mid-State 67 full steps, $7,500. Okay, is the highest value on this particular sheet right here, from 82 to 84. So we could see a similar value for a Mid-State 67 full steps. There hasn't even been a Mid-State 66 plus full steps in an 83P. Bad quality right here. Bad quality coins all the way around. So here is a Mid-State 66 example. Here's a few examples of other coins as well. And look at this. It's 65 plus with full steps, $500. And these sales here in just 65, yeah, between $400 and $600. Okay, so I stand corrected. There has been one example that graded out at 66 plus with full steps designation. However, that one has not made it out into the market. Let alone, there has been no 66s reported through Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, Legend Morphe, David Lawrence, Stax Bowers, none of that. Nobody is selling their coins. Again, an extremely difficult date to find in high grades, especially with full steps. But take a look at the mintage. 561 million pieces produced for this particular date. Again, there's no shortage of the actual date. I coin roll hunted nickels all week long, and I found nothing but 83, 84s, 85s. They're plentiful. But rest assured, I did not find any with full steps or mid-state for that matter. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 83, then we'll hop over to the dimes. Look how terrible the strike and quality of the coin is. It's very mushy. They literally rode these dies to death. 536 million pieces were produced for the 83D. Jefferson nickel. Wow. In a 66, look, someone back in 2004 paid $2,200 back when there was probably one or two examples with nothing higher at the time. That's crazy. There is one example in a 67 full steps, and that's why they have the price guide at 7,500. It's interesting because the coin has never made it out to the market. I do not save 83s in Jefferson nickels and Roosevelt dimes in much the same fashion as I do the quarters, because the quarters I know I can make more money off of. As far as a roll of Jefferson nickels, because it is such a smaller face value for a full roll, which is $2, even if I sold it for double face at $4, you know, you got to factor in shipping, so it's not a wise move. Now, if you had accumulated, you know, say 1,000 of them or 2,000 coins, you know, like $100 face or $50 face, you might be able to make some money. However, you know, this date right here is extremely rare for the same reason as all the other denominations for this date, is that the dies were garbage on these. So the strike quality, you know, the overall appearance, it looked horrible on these dates. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dime. And then right after this, we'll hop on eBay. We'll look at some realized sales of some of the 1983 quarters, because I know you guys are interested in seeing that. But we're going to go ahead and dive right in here to the 1983 Philadelphia, rather. We're going to focus on full split bands, the full torch features on that. And again, nice lofty prices on these. Mushy strike, much like the Jefferson nickel and the Washington quarter. As you can see, you know, you can tell that it's not a very sharp looking coin. This is even a 67 full torch. Full torch being that it has this fully separated line on both the top and bottom bands. All right, so here we go. Well, this is interesting. So it's showing a mid-state 68 sale in full bands at $2,200, but they don't have it in the pop report yet. It looks like they have some data that they need to update on here. There is one example in 67 that sold before the 68 for $560. So the pricing needs to be updated. But 2,000 to 2,500 sounds about right for a denomination that generally not a lot of people collect. Roosevelt dimes have been largely ignored for about the last 10 to 15 years. Okay, and because it is a smaller sized coin compared to everything else, it's also the least desirable because of that. And the design just plain stinks. They should have replaced it probably 20 years ago. But yeah, again, a pricey coin on it grades higher than mid-state 66 plus. Again, 647 million. So they didn't produce a whole lot of these, but man, oh man, in certain grades, they sell for a lot of money. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 83D. Looks like this one, price guide value, they have it up a little bit higher than the Philadelphia, which doesn't make any sense. I think it's just the strike looks a little bit better. The reverse is mushy. You know, it's not. Oh, wow. 730 million pieces on the 1983 Denver Roosevelt dime. That's quite a bit. All right. So one was sold on eBay in 2015 for $2,000. Okay. Another one in Heritage Auctions in an NGC holder, December of 2014 for $500. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. But as you can see, mid-state 65 and up with full split bands at this date is worth something. Now, again, they do have to update their price guide, you know, schematic on here. I'm sure that this is probably more like $50. This is $75, $100. You get the idea. These prices probably haven't been upgraded in 2 or 3 years, and that's putting it lightly. But anyways, that's that there. And then let's go ahead and take a quick look at the candy half dollars. Man, the 83 candy half dollars are so so difficult to find in decent shape. Okay, wow, look at this. See, the mid-state 68, which is what they have reported for the top grade. Usually with the top grade, they'll have a dollar value assigned to it in the price guide. Well, let's see what is sold here in the past. Again, it is candy half dollar, so the mintages are lower, 34 million. They're all lower across the board, regardless. But again, this is probably the sharper looking coin out of all the coins that we've talked about. Just on this Mint State 67 example, it looks pretty clean. There is some mushiness right here in the middle of the shield and eagle, okay, because you have them both kind of fused together. There isn't that distinctive separation line. All right, so we're going to get into the nitty-gritty here. So 67 plus, they have a price guide value of $850, and I can't, 38.50 for a 68. There's one graded in both a 67 plus and a 68. That's interesting. Usually this would tally up by maybe 4 or 5 copies before a 68 would even come into the picture. But nice expensive coin. As you can see, there are a few copies that have sold in 67, the most recent being this NGC graded, which, by the way, are known to be a little bit more conservative in their grading, sold for $430. And then you see the others a few years before that. And finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the Denver. Believe me, if you guys have stuck around up to this point, there is an actual kind of conclusive ending argument as to why these coins are so valuable. Although, again, I haven't had any great luck selling candy half dollars, even though I would like to because it's a much bigger denomination. I haven't had any luck selling them for double face. In a full roll, it's $10 worth. So it would be no better than selling a full roll of quarters because it's $20, All right, and mintage is the same, 32 million, so it's in the 30s. We're going to go all the way across till we hit the very top end here. And, this is kind of cool. I like this because there's a Mid-State 68 example. There's one graded. And, of course, based off of the overall population figures of the 67 plus, there are many more better quality coins in the Denver minted part of it than there are the Philadelphias. Okay, so the one that did sell on Heritage Auctions back in 2016 brought in $4,200. Expensive coin. Look at these 67s right here. 36 of them, of course, but they all sell for $200-300. Not a low mintage. So, anyways, what I wanted to get to through all of this is some of you may not be aware, but the U.S. Mint did not, and that's the reason why that the overall actual numbers of various uncirculated coinage just doesn't exist out in like pocket change and rolls, is that the U.S. Mint did not manufacture any U.S. Mint sets for both 1982 and 1983. Overall, what does this mean? Well, there's less high-quality coins in the marketplace because the U.S. Mint sets have, for other particular dates outside of these two, have fueled the market with high-quality coins, okay? Some would even argue that, the quality of the coins coming out of these Mint sets during the early 80s wasn't that great at all. But at the same token, these were actual Mint State coins that you could pull out of a Mint set. They just didn't exist in 1982 and 1983. That has been one of the biggest determining factors in why this coin is absolutely difficult to find in Mint State outside of a U.S. Mint set, okay, just in general. So that leads us to eBay. So what I did was I'm in the Washington Quarter part of the coins and paper money section of eBay. There's 27 completed auctions for a 1983 roll. Okay, now some of them are pretty underwhelming. You have here an 83 Washington Quarter roll. They're all circulated. That's sold as a buy it now for $18.99. By the time you factor in shipping and fees, it doesn't leave a whole lot of meat on the bone. This one, on the other hand, that sold 2 days prior to this one. This one sold yesterday, by the way. Here's another roll here of, this is a mix. Actually, this is both P and D, which is interesting. Sold for $20 plus $5.25 for shipping. That's incredible. These are proof coins. This one right here, I sold for $9.50 for one roll of 83 Ps. You know what killed this guy? This insane shipping cost. $7.50. You could get this thing out for about $4.06 if you went first class. It'll actually make that weight. Here's a 1983 roll. That's a complete Denver roll. That sold for $20.66 shipped. Here's another one to Philadelphia that sold for the same amount of money. Here's a one singular BU 1983P sold for $20. Guess what? I bought this same coin this morning for the same seller just so I could have an example to put in my album. And I can't believe I paid this kind of money. These coins actually on the singular level have sold as high as $50-$60 as recently as 12 to 18 months ago. So this guy has injected a few copies of this coin out into the marketplace. He's thrown a nice cheap buy it now, and he only had like 7 pieces to sell. And I think I bought the last one, $20. Here's a 1983 mixed roll for 1875. Again, he's short by about $1. I would have put 1995 or 1999 on there. This one right here sold, it's a circulated 1983D roll. So it's kind of all over the map, okay? Well, here's an 83 circulated roll that sold for $35.40 back in February. Here's another one that sold for $35.40. Probably the same seller, it looks like. Here is an uncirculated roll of 1983D Washington quarters that sold for 20 times face value. Okay, this one sold for about $210. Now that's more like it. That is the real value of what a full roll of Gem BU 1983Ds are. Now, if this was a Philadelphia roll, I guarantee you it'd be somewhere about $600-$700. Yeah, that's the big price difference between the two. So, you just go ahead and check it out. They're kind of the average has been about $20 to $22 shipped for a full roll of 1983 quarters. Well, here's actually a 1983P original Unk roll. Could be the next $2,500 roll. It might be the case. I don't know. $400 this thing was bid up to. So my estimate of $600 to $800 is a little exaggerated, and I apologize for that. But $400, I mean, come on. It's a lot of money. Here's another Unk roll of 83Ds that sold for $300. Here's a circulated roll of P&Ds that sold during the holidays for this one sold for almost $40 shipped. So there's been more rolls coming out into the market, and I think I'm probably part to blame for that because I've done a few videos just expressing, kind of like the importance of pulling out these 1983 dated quarters and assembling full rolls for it. But yeah, you factor in the fact that there's no mint sets. You factor in the fact that, even though millions upon millions of these coins were produced. By the way, this is my closing in conclusion. Millions and millions of these coins produced. Okay, very few were saved in mid-state fashion. Okay, and plus the quality just plain straight out sucks on them because the dies were not maintained properly when they were first produced. Okay, they were not of great shape to begin with. The planchet quality was not great. It wasn't there. So there were a lot of factors that kind of, when you put them together, okay, and you overlap them, that's why you get these funny kind of like, on the surface, superficially, it seems very overinflated and very expensive. But that was one heck of a screencast. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of content to talk about. But, if you wanted to research some coins on your own, PCGS.com. Informationally, you could go on CoinFacts right here to get all that stuff. some of my favorite auction sites, great collections, heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers. These are all fantastic. They all have archives you can pull up. And eBay, the most live pricing calculator in all of the internet for coins and currency. Okay, if you want to know what something is worth today, not in 2019, not in 2018, but today, and you want an idea of what you can sell it for today, eBay is the place. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry it was long-winded and kind of ridiculous, but hopefully this will help kind of address a lot of things I've seen through those emails. Come check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. As always, the best way you can support my channel is to hit the like button. I almost forgot there. I was going to say, buy me beer and pizza, but I'm on a carb-free diet, so that's not going to work. Buy me some apples, a bag of apples. So thank you again for joining. Feel free to share, subscribe, comment away. Let me know what you think. A lot of information. 1983 is a tough date all the way around. Even the Lincoln cents, they're all spotty, carboned out with all sorts of marks and little dots and stuff. It's a challenging date all the way around. So thank you guys for joining. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next one.